Hello again. Are we facing sync? Oh, you can see me.
I can see you.
Fantastic. Okay, so without waiting for any more technical issues for Instagram to throw our way, would you do us the pleasure of introducing yourself?
Yes. So I'm Nikki. I am behind the Daily Cavalier on Instagram, and I am dog mom to Coco, Juno, and Gigi. And we love to travel all around Europe with the 3 dogs. So that's kind of me in a nutshell.
That is a brilliant introduction. Thank you so much. And for anyone that's watching and that doesn't know me, I'm Killian from Ruby Reese. We are a dog business that started off almost 2 years ago. We're coming up to our 2-year birthday very, very soon. And once you're finished watching this, you can check out our website, ruby-reese.com. So we are talking today all about travel, your topic of expertise. So let's start off with the fun part. Where can we go?
Well, the possibilities really are endless. So the UK obviously is really close, really easy to get to. There's loads of routes into the UK on ferries. Really tricky to fly into the UK. It's pretty much impossible. But if you go further, like if you go France or Spain, there's direct ferries from Ireland to France and direct ferries to Spain. The possibilities are endless, and that's even if you don't have a car. So most people who travel on ferries are traveling by car, but some of the ferries do allow foot passengers with pets. And like once you get onto the main continent of Europe, the possibilities are endless. The rail system over there is amazing, the road system. So really, the possibilities are endless. Europe obviously is really easy because we have pet passports, EU pet passports. So really anywhere in Europe. It is a bit tricky if you want to start going further afield, but that would be for really, really experienced travelers to start going into other continents, you know. So I stick to Europe anyway. We'll see about other places in the future.
Very good. And I suppose just to break that one out, so there's air transport and there's ferry.
Yeah.
Are the 2 major options for getting off this island?
Yeah, now a ferry is a lot easier and a lot kind of simpler, and I suppose more. Air travel is really restrictive because it's really only small pets that can go. I would say 90% of airlines, their limit is 8 kilo or under, and that's including the travel bag. So really, you're talking really small dogs that can fly. Coco and Juno flew one time, three flights, but it was on one trip, and it was with Air Baltic, who at the time allowed up to 12 kilo, including the bag, but have since reduced it to 8 to match most of the other airlines. So that was a one-time wonder. Will never happen again because Coco's more than 9 kilos, so we're totally restricted on that. So really, ferry travel is probably the most common you would see when traveling with dogs.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. And then with the ferries themselves, do we want to just let people imagine what they like? So I've traveled with Ruby on the ferry before. It wasn't to go on holiday, it was for to actually move back to Ireland from living in Germany. So like, what are your options? Are there normally kennels on board? Do the dogs have to stay in the car? Are there dog friendly cabins? What does it look like when you're going?
So really all of the things you mentioned there are options. Different ferry companies offer different things. So me personally, we don't travel Irish ferries because they only offer pets in kennels, which are on the car deck, or that they stay in the car. And that's even on their routes to like Cherbourg, which is like, kind of 18 hours. And we just don't think our dogs wouldn't be able to handle that anyway. Some dogs absolutely can. So it really, I suppose the first thing to think about is what everybody knows their pets best. So I know our guys will not tolerate being away from us. So we only travel Stena Line, who offer pet cabins, but they do also have kennels, and the pets can stay in the car on some routes. So again, each option is going to suit different pets. Like some pets probably might freak out at the thoughts of coming up on the deck and being around all the water, and that they actually might feel much safer in the car. So it does depend on your pet, but as a whole, all 3 of those options are generally what you'll find. So pet cabins, pets in kennel, and then pets in the car. So again, even within the routes, pets in kennels. Sometimes the kennels are on the car deck. Sometimes they're up on the passenger deck, which means, you know, you don't actually have to leave your dog. You could stay with them the whole time. You could walk them up and down the pet deck. So there are lots of options out there.
Yeah. And do you want to get into maybe how that experience is as well? You know, like especially, I know the kennels you said weren't an option for you, as they weren't for us either. With Ruby, we were very lucky to have a pet-friendly cabin. So, like, what was your experience of it? Did you find it to be like a very stressful experience, or did you know, like, feel once you get onto the ferry, are you starting your holiday already?
I have
like,
to
how do you
say that, that's kind of what it feels like. We have Coco and Juno 4 years now, and in those 4 years we've taken one trip abroad without them, and it was for like 2 days. It was really small, but I find now I actually love traveling on the ferries. I find it's much more relaxing. You don't have any of the stress of airport security. You know, you're queuing in the comfort of your car. You can pack your car to the brim. There's no limits on your bag size, nothing like that. And the ships are so nice now that actually it does feel a little bit like your holiday kind of starts the moment you set foot on the ship. So the experience, we haven't had many stressful experiences. It might be stress in the case that possibly the ferry got delayed or we were running a bit late. But, you know, travel stress really, like with having the dogs, it was really not there at all. So the ships, you can they have restaurants, shops, duty-free shopping. Like there's so many things you can do on board. Me personally, we stay in the pet cabin because we just wouldn't be able to leave them, and we wouldn't want to. But some people can leave their dogs and do, and they're fine. So the experience, I have to say, has converted me into a ferry traveler now instead of plane, because I just love it. It's great. And it is a bit longer, obviously, but the holiday kind of feels like it's starting even during the traveling bit.
Definitely. And I must say, we would definitely 100% agree with you there. You know, we were traveling for moving country, so it wasn't even intended to be a holiday. But we got on the ferry, and you know, we were pulling out from the port in France, coming towards Ireland, and we were like, God, this is lovely. We're watching the sunset. We're sitting on the dog. It was a really nice, calming experience. We were just saying, we weren't really expecting, like, for us it was a mode of transport, not really a holiday, but it was brilliant. And then, like, so you mentioned the destinations are basically the other parts of the British Isles. Spain and France are probably the direct routes, and then by car. Right?
By car after that, yeah. So we have done where we've actually gone into the UK and then driven across the UK and got another ferry. Because from the east side of the UK, there's 3 different routes that go straight into Amsterdam. There's a new route now actually from Rosslare to Dunkirk. So previously all of the routes to France were bringing you into kind of Western France, which was really inconvenient if you were trying to go kind of over Eastern Europe. So now there's a new route with the GFDS, and they offer pet cabins, and it brings you right into Dunkirk, which, you know, you're practically beside the Netherlands then. So that's a great option as well. So yeah, there's lots of different routes, but your kind of main ones from Ireland are going to be into the UK, into France, or into Spain.
And I suppose we've mentioned a couple, so we've mentioned EU countries and we've mentioned the UK. So let's jump straight into the official paperwork, because I'm sure that's the fun that loads of people
Yes. So in order to travel, the first thing you have to do is go get a pet passport. So an EU pet passport, it can be issued by your vet. It can only be issued by your vet, actually, so you can't get it anywhere else. You have to, sorry, Coco's joining now here. You have to have the pet microchip, which is obviously a law in Ireland anyway. She's sniffing my Vaseline on my lips. And then the vet will administer a rabies vaccine. So your rabies vaccine is valid for 3 years. And it's actually only valid at least 21 days after it's been given. So you have to make sure you've given yourself enough time to get the passport and then have 21 days before you travel. So, you know, it's definitely, get it a couple of months in advance, familiarize yourself with the process. It's a very cute little passport. You can put a picture in, it's optional, but I obviously couldn't resist. So all of our passports have pictures in. And that's all you need to leave the country. So you need your pet passport and a microchip that obviously matches what's on the passport, and a rabies vaccine.
Mm-hmm.
Where it gets a bit tricky is before you can re-enter Ireland, or let's say you went to France and you were coming home via the UK, if you need to enter the UK, you have to also then get a worming treatment. So that needs to be administered no less than 24 hours and no more than 120 hours, which is about 5 days. So at least 5 days before you come home, you have to visit a vet over in whatever country you're in. So so that's to enter Ireland or to enter the UK. Now, if you're only going to the UK from Ireland, you don't need to do that. But you do, unfortunately, to come back to Ireland, even if you've only been in the UK. So that is the tricky part, is that wherever you go, you have to research a vet. Now, there's ways around it in sense that if you were going on a trip that's less than 5 days, obviously you'd only be going to the UK if your trip was less than 5 days, but you can get the worming treatment done at home by your own vet because it will still be valid.
Yes.
But if you're going on like a 2-week holiday or something like that, you need to get it done over there. And it's actually, I say it's the most complicated part, but in itself, it's not really that complicated. So a lot of the vets are familiar with the process. People travel all over with their pets and need this. So what I usually do is look up my Airbnb. I'll Google then on maps vets all around. I might send 10 emails out to all of the ones around it, and then explain my situation, that we're traveling back to Ireland. We need the worming treatment and we need this passport stamped, because again, some people have asked me, can I not just buy the tablet and give it to them? But it actually needs to be recorded by an official vet. They stamp it with their vet stamp, and that's what's actually being checked. It's not, obviously it's been checked that it's been given, but you can't just give it yourself. So you have to go to a vet. There's just no way around it. You just won't be allowed back. Well, it's checked at the end, but you just have to do it. So that is, it's not that hard. Somebody out of all the emails I send out always gets back. Usually it's 2 or 3 of them. And then I'll kind of narrow it down based on what times they have available and what's nearest us. So it's actually not that complicated.
Yeah.
But that is just to bear in mind, if you're traveling abroad, you need to do that before you come home.
Exactly. And like you say, the way you approach it is probably the most stress-free version, because you've already done your research before you go. You've contacted them, you know what you're doing, and you've got it planned. Whereas if this is something that's sprung on you kind of, before you're leaving your holiday or mid-holiday, it's probably something that would be stressful.
Exactly. So definitely do it before you even leave. Like, I'll have those appointments booked definitely a couple of weeks before we go, because then you can enjoy your holiday, and all you have to do is make sure you get there on the day you've booked your appointment, and there's no stress of trying to find vets over there.
Definitely. And then I suppose, what other important considerations do pet owners need to keep in mind when they're traveling with their dogs in general, so outside of the legal framework?
Yeah. I mean, I suppose just knowing your own dog, knowing their limits. Like, when we've been abroad, there are things that are dog friendly that you'd never expect. So like zoos and water parks, you have to know your own dog though, and whether they're going to enjoy that, and kind of think, am I doing this for me, or am I doing this for the dog? So, guys are not particularly reactive to animals. So we did bring them to the zoos. A lot of zoos are actually in Germany, a lot of the dog friendly zoos. So we've been to a couple of them now. But like they did really enjoy it. But to some dog, that would be actually just an awful experience. So that would be my main thing, is to make sure you know your dog and know their limitations. I suppose if you're traveling by plane, if you're one of the few that are lucky enough to be able to do it, making sure that they're really comfortable in their travel bag, because even, flying in cabin, they have to stay in their travel bag at your feet. So just making sure they absolutely love their bag. So when we had traveled with Coco and Juno on the plane, we did months of training leading up to it. They really loved their bag. So we'd bring it out to restaurants here, but like before we went, they'd sit in the bag, and then it became just a normal thing. So there's 0 point in introducing the bag the day before the flight, and your dog has no clue what you're supposed to do with this. You need to make it nearly like crate training, that it's this really comfortable space for them to go and kind of have it in the house, have it on the floor, reward them when they're kind of going near it, and it just kind of really gradually build it up. So I suppose they would be the main kind of things. again, different situations. If you're traveling on the ferries, maybe I would always suggest, if you're using the kennels, maybe bring a padlock. A lot of the kennels are key code access kind of protected, but some of them aren't. Some are just kennels on a car deck. Okay. So if you kind of get there and you happen to have a padlock, then you just have that other kind of level of peace of mind. That's kind of it. Apart from that, it really is quite smooth. And once you get over onto, kind of the main continent, France, Spain, and further, you'll see like the attitudes just change so much that their attitude towards pets are so different that you will be able to include them in things. But again, just bear in mind, are they able for it, or is this going to be enjoyable for my dog, or am I doing it just because it's dog friendly?
And actually, you touched on something really interesting there as well, with the cultural differences and everything.
Yeah.
And you mentioned that a lot of places that are probably accessible to us by boat are also tend to be places that are very, very dog friendly and have huge dog populations themselves. So do you find that in general that there, a lot of the countries around Europe that are accessible are very, very open to having dogs involved in daily life?
Yeah, definitely. So one of our first trips we took with the girls was into the UK. So we did Scotland, we did Wales, and we were blown away by how much more dog friendly they were to us. And then we went to France and Spain, and it was like even a further step up. And it is purely down to attitudes. I feel like in Ireland, we have a lot of catching up to do. France, I think it was 10 years ago now that they changed their law to have pets not be property. They're, living beings. Same with Spain. A couple of years ago, they changed their laws to say that pets are no longer property. They're kind of sentient beings. Here in Ireland, pets are by law still considered property. And that kind of difference does show through in how pet friendly we are compared to them. Hopefully we're catching up and we will get there. And I do think we are with all the kind of dog friendly events that happen. But you do see a massive difference. I found myself at the beginning, kind of tentatively walking up to a shop asking, is it okay if we come in? And they're like, yeah, why are you asking? And now I'm kind of, okay, we don't need to ask. They'll tell us if we don't, or a lot of shops will have a no pet sign. Not a lot, but like the ones that don't allow pets will. But we have generally found really the only place that's restricted is supermarkets, and that's understandable. Although I have heard in Italy there are dog friendly supermarkets that have trolleys with sections for your dog. So again, like maybe eventually one day we might be there, but there's a huge cultural difference, and I think pets are part of the family. Not that they're not part of the family here, but it's more of a general view in the likes of France and Spain that pets are part of the family. They'll come to the restaurants with you in the evening, because there is a kind of culture of sitting outside. And then when it comes to then sitting inside, it's just like, oh yeah, it's the same, So it's a big shock when you realize how many places you can go into. But it is lovely.
Yeah, absolutely. And I really kind of, that resonates with me as well. I've had that thought a couple of times that because life especially in warm climates, life tends to migrate outside from the middle of spring until the middle of autumn.
Exactly.
It's kind of an outdoor lifestyle, and being inside is kind of the exception. You're just going in there for shade as opposed to shielding yourself from the wind and rain.
So it's just normal then to have a dog near your feet.
Exactly. So I can definitely see that, and even not just Spain or France, but also like you mentioned Germany. You've got the beer garden culture and everything. So it's normal to be outdoors with dogs,
and it's lovely, And then as a result, I really feel then the pets are more socialized and more able to be in those situations. So we're nearly stuck in Ireland in this kind of catch-22 of, if we allow dogs, they're going to cause havoc. But really, if we allowed them everywhere from the beginning, people would bring their dogs out and the dogs would know, kind of what's expected of them in a restaurant. Of course, if you bring a 5-year-old dog that's never been in a restaurant in their life out to an indoor restaurant, they're not going to know how to behave. But if you'd been doing it from when they were 8 weeks old, or, they would know. So it's kind of this vicious cycle of we need to allow it in order to get better at it. And I just think mainland Europe just have been allowing it, and therefore it is the norm, because the dogs aren't causing any trouble. They're just sitting there with their owners, just happy to be together, not be at home, you know. So I do think if we all try, and there's more dog friendly places opening up, so I do think we'll get there. I know ourselves, we really only give our business to dog friendly places because we don't go anywhere without them.
Exactly, and we're much the same. And I know that I suppose most of our followers collectively
Yeah.
will be much of the same feeling, that the dogs are definitely very, very integrated into day-to-day
Yeah.
life. Um, Definitely something a lot of more businesses will be thinking of, I think.
Yeah.
And do you think there are different attitudes and different requirements that might be required for different breeds of dogs or types of dogs? Do you think some dogs might face some challenges while they're abroad? I suppose that's more of an opinion question than anything else.
Yeah, like I suppose I think Spain actually doesn't have any banned breeds, but they do have restrictions on certain breeds. And again, it's kind of the aggressive breeds. France as well. I think France has 4 breeds that are banned, but everything, you know, the rest is just kind of restrictions, like muzzles in public, that type of thing. But as from what I've seen, we've seen dogs of all shapes and sizes, and there doesn't seem to be any kind of prejudice. I do think as a lot of it comes down to the owners and their, you know, kind of how the dog was raised. So from what we've seen, I haven't seen any restrictions, like anything that we've gone to that's dog friendly. I've never seen a sign that says no, you know, particular breeds. I have kind of felt that it's been very inclusive of different breeds. So not that I have seen anyway.
I suppose the major thing is to, like you've mentioned a number of times, is to think about the individual dog in question.
Yeah,
You know,
everything stems down to whether the individual dog is going to enjoy what it is, or would the dog actually enjoy to be left at home instead, and that's fine too. Every dog is different, so
that's it. And even with climate considerations and everything, you know, I, I very, very much remember a situation where we saw Saint Bernard for 2 weeks long, every single day out walking in the midday sun.
Oh yeah,
with his owner in Spain, like in the middle of June
yeah,
or July. And I was thinking, like, Saint Bernards are made. I grew up with Saint Bernards. They're not made for the heat. Like 16 degrees is a lot for them.
Yeah. Well, even our Cavaliers.
Yeah.
So when we do go away in the hotter months, I make sure to always have a portable fan with me. We have a buggy for when the ground is too hot. The fan will be pointed in at them. They have cooling jackets. We would never go out in the midday sun. So like we did do a sun holiday 2 years ago in Spain, and it was actually happened to be during a heat wave. And even the locals were like, this is so ridiculous. So like we would get up at kind of 8 a.m. We'd kind of swim in the pool for a little bit, and then we'd be back in the room from 11 until 4. Like we just didn't go out. And it wasn't even, oh, we can't go out because of the dogs. Like we literally couldn't go out.
Yeah.
But as a result, we had a really relaxing holiday. Like all those siestas, we came back so rested. Like it was lovely. So yeah, heat is definitely something to bear in mind. Like Cavaliers are not made for the heat. They're a big hairy breed. That we do, you know, you do have to be really careful because heat stroke can happen in dogs really quickly, and it's just definitely something to bear in mind. So we have any cooling accessory out there, and we're going to get cooling suits now this summer. So we have the kind of t-shirt things, but I think we're going to get the full suit, because you wet it and then they stay nice and cool.
Yes.
There was moments I wish I had something like that. What I wanted for myself.
Very good, very good. And yeah, so I suppose it's again, just to underline it, think about your individual dog and individual situation.
Yeah. Don't force your dog into something just because it's fun or for you, or, you know, if you're bringing them, your responsibility then is to make sure that they're also having a good time, you know?
Yeah. And you mentioned earlier as well, so I suppose if you are in a situation where there's a heat wave and your dog starts having difficulties, I suppose the people that will have been looking for the worming treatment abroad will already have their list at hand, and it's that Excel list.
Yeah. Another reason why I would recommend to do it way before you go, because then you have a contact of a vet over there, and you know it's near your Airbnb or hotel because you know you've looked for one around there. So having it pre-planned means you'll also then have an emergency kind of to fall back on if something like heat stroke happened with your dog. Yeah. So that's another reason why I definitely recommend doing it before.
Exactly. No, it sounds like such a good idea to have things prepared and just ready to go, so that you know, in the worst case scenario, you're not hitting up Google to find out who and when and where.
Exactly. Yeah.
Brilliant. So I suppose we've covered an awful lot of the basics in a whistle-stop tour of traveling with dogs. Do you have any memorable experiences that stand out, or any stories that really stand out from along the way?
Yeah. I mean, I suppose still one of my favorite experiences is the dog-friendly water park. So, it's not even dog-friendly water park. It was a water park for dogs. So, the pools are all really shallow. It's purely for the dogs. And that day was just so fun. It's in Spain. Now, there's actually a couple of them in Spain. At the time we went, we'd only discovered this one, but there's actually lots of them. And it's just a really fun day. And again, it helps with that kind of hot sun. We could stay out a bit longer that day because we were, the dogs were in the water. They were nice and cool. Everybody was having a good time. So that definitely stands out as one of my most memorable times on a holiday with them, because it was just so enjoyable. And it really felt like, wow, this country really cares about their animals, that they even have something like a water park, And I suppose just novelty things of being able to go to a zoo with them, like that would never happen here. At Dublin Zoo, I believe you can't even actually go around with a service dog, which I found shocking. Like, if you actually need your service dog, you have to leave it in a designated place and you go around the zoo. Even that, it just shows how far behind we are. That's not even a pet dog, So the novelty of being able to bring them to the zoo in Germany was brilliant as well. And they would probably be my two kind of standout memories of trips.
Yeah, and I suppose that's one of the things that we all travel for, is to experience something new and different to what we get home, right? So that's really, really cool. Brilliant. Thank you so much, Nikki, for coming on and chatting to us.
No worries at all.
That's been so enlightening, and I'm sure it's going to help so many people, put lots of brilliant ideas into people's minds.
Good. And if anybody wants to because I know before we started traveling, I was doing loads of research on kind of what to expect. But any of the ferry routes that we take, I always make a video. Either I'll put it up on my YouTube, TikTok, or on Instagram, to show you kind of what to expect. So I've recorded what the kennels look like, where they are, what the cabins are like, kind of what the pet toilet area is like. Myself, I'm quite a visual person, and before we started traveling, I just wanted somebody to do a video walkthrough of what I was kind of facing. So I've started doing that myself now. So if anybody wants to have a look at kind of what to expect, just either contact me. I love chatting about travel. I'll chat about travel for hours. So definitely send me a message if you have any questions. But I do always post videos then of kind of what it looks like and where things are.
And that's so valuable, because, like you say, that was what I was scouring YouTube beforehand, trying to figure out whatever the name of the boat was, the MS, whatever. Trying to figure out so important to know what you really do need to visualize, what's ahead of you, and what I need to bring with me, and all that. So much appreciated. It's really, really valuable.
No worries at all. It was so nice to chat with you.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much. And guys, if you are interested in getting in touch with Nikki or checking out the profiles, Coco and Juno is one of the Instagram profiles, and then you've got the Daily Cavalier as well.
Yeah, either one will get to me.
Very good. And if you're not following us already, we're at Ruby Reese Official as well. Thanks so much for coming on once again. It's been an absolute pleasure. And have
lovely to chat to you. You too. Bye.